Hello, my name is Wayne Ruddock, and in this independent infrared camera informational video, we're going to look at the facts and the functions on the low-cost NECF30 micron thermal shot infrared camera. This radiometric full-featured camera looks and feels very similar to a standard digital camera. This camera has a 160 by 120 uncooled microbolometer focal plane array detector. It's sensitive to the 8 to 13 micron range. It has a thermal sensitivity of 0.2 degrees C in the normal mode or 0.1 degrees Celsius with the signal to noise reduction function turned on. Temperature accuracy is plus or minus 2 degrees C or plus or minus 2% of the thermal range. It comes in two models. One has a temperature range from minus 20 to 100 degrees Celsius, while the other model works in the temperature range from minus 20 up to 350 degrees Celsius. It has a low frame rate of only 8.5 frames per second, and this is to allow export to most countries in the world with no restrictions or government license requirements. This camera has a field of view of 28 degrees by 21 degrees with a manual focus on the lens. It also has a built-in visible light camera, which is on the front of the camera right here. And that means that you have to be careful when you take a thermogram that you don't hold the camera like this and block out the visible light camera. When you store an infrared image, a visible light image is stored at the same time and linked to the infrared image for easy report generation. The IR camera focuses from 10 centimeters to infinity and is focus free at distances over 1.3 meters. It has a geometrical resolution or an instantaneous field of view of 3.1 milliradians. The IP protection rating is IP43 and the camera is very lightweight, weighing only 300 grams. The camera operates on 3 rechargeable AA nickel metal hydride batteries. Like most digital cameras, the batteries are accessible from the bottom of the camera, and on the bottom of the camera we also see that there is a standard tripod mount. We simply open the bottom door and there's the 3 batteries in a battery holder. Also in there we have the removable SD memory card, which is what you store your infrared and visible light images on. When we take out the SD card, we can then reach in and take out the batteries, and you'll see that the batteries, the 3 of them, are in a battery holder, and you just pop each one of the AA batteries out and recharge them in your recharging system. And when we take a look at the case, we'll see also that there are 2 contacts, and those 2 contacts simply slide into the camera, and we can put the memory card back in. And close the compartment up, and the camera is ready to go. The camera is simple to operate, and on the top we have the mode selection button here, which we'll talk about and show you how it works later. The on and off button is right there, and when we depress the on button and the camera turns on, we have a green light showing beside the on and off button, and we have a freeze and store button right here in the front of the camera on the top, exactly as you would in a standard digital camera. The back of the camera has a number of controls depending on what mode it's in. The top button is the auto adjust button that automatically adjusts the level and the span to get you a fairly good image. There's a 4-way button pad here that has a number of functions which we'll discuss, and an OK or an accept button in the middle. And on the bottom we have the menu cancel button. We push it and it brings up our menus, and push it again to cancel it. On the left side of the camera we have the connection compartment, which is covered by a rubber protector, and the top connection is a DC power in connection. The next one is a USB port, and you can hook the camera to your computer. And the bottom one is a video out connection, and it comes with, the camera comes with a supplied video cable to put the video to a recording or to a display device. We're going to now take a look at the actual operation of the camera and the function of the buttons. When we first turn the camera on, it takes a few minutes for the image to come up as the detectors initialize. Once we get an image on our screen, the first thing we want to do is push the auto adjust button, and it automatically adjusts the level and span and gets us a reasonable image. The next thing we do is we want to take and use the autofocus and make sure that we've got a nice clear image with a crisp edge on an area of interest. If you take a look at the screen, you'll see that there's a number of things shown to us in the screen. Up in the top left-hand corner, we have the battery indicator that tells us we have a full battery. Next to it, we have the SD card indicator that tells us that the SD card is in there. We also have the date and the time over here on the left side, and down here we have the center temperature that's calculated through the computer. We have the color palette, we have the lower temperature, the higher temperature, and this number right here is the number of images available to store on the SD card. When we look at the image, we'll find that we can have the camera in auto adjust by just pushing the auto adjust button, and we notice that it says continuous auto adjust. That's a sign that continuous auto adjust is on. Click the auto adjust again quickly again, and we're into the manual mode, and the camera doesn't continually auto adjust. On top of the camera, we talked about the rotary wheel. If we turn the rotary wheel on the top back of the camera all the way to the left, then we get the image files, and we can go through the various images and recall any one of the images that we want to take a look at. The first click to the right is the infrared camera, and we get our regular infrared image. The third position is the visible light image, and the fourth position is the visible light image with the thermal information displayed on the screen. This is not image fusion, it's simply the thermal information only superimposed on top of the infrared image. Let's go back to the infrared image, and on the button pad we have 4 different buttons. The top button is the center temperature button, and we depress it and we have the center temperature come up. We use the navigational keys. We can go over to the first digit and we can raise the level of the camera by moving the up and down arrows, or we can lower the level of the camera, and when we push the OK key, that accepts it. The settings as we have. The right hand arrow key is the high temperature key. We can use the navigational keys and we can raise the high temperature value, which simply opens up the span, or we can lower the high temperature value, which simply decreases the span, and push the OK button to accept that. The left hand button is the low temperature button, and we can go over to the low temperature and we can adjust the value of the low temperature up, which closes the span, or we can adjust the low temperature down, which opens the span, and we can hit the OK button to accept that. When we push the menu button, it brings up a number of menus. We can change the scales, we can adjust the measurement functions and turn the spot meters on and off. We can set the emissivity in the background. We can change the setup. We can look at and manipulate the images on the data card, and we can set an alarm in all of these menus. You simply go to one of the menus, push the OK key to select it, then pick a value, an item like the center point, say OK, and you can turn the center point on or off. To accept that, push OK, and it goes back into the normal menu. When we're on a normal screen with no menu item displayed, pushing the bottom arrow key or the function key will allow us to quickly turn on the delta temperature, and we're just going to clear that. Or we can select the emissivity values, and we can put in the emissivity as well as the background ambient temperature so that the calculator in the camera can give us an accurate calculated temperature. We're going to push the cancel key. We can also go in and set the alarms and change how the alarms work, and we can go over and change the alarm maximum and minimum values, and we'll just cancel that. And once again, cancel to get out of that. Pushing the freeze button once quickly, the button in front of the top of the camera, we freeze an image and we get the freeze sign on the display screen. To go back to live, we quickly touch the freeze button and we're back in the live mode. If we want to store an image, we give a long click or hold the freeze save button down, and we see a screen that flashes, and it takes both the infrared and the real life image, and that screen flashed the image number that it was. If we turn our rotary dial back to the file, we will see in the bottom corner the image that we just saved. So let's go back to the infrared menu there. Now we're back in the normal mode, and to shut the camera off, we simply depress the on and off button for a few seconds and the camera automatically shuts off.